Thanks everybody for joining in this month's webinar. We're going to talk about some of the new products that we launched at our annual DAC Days. And I know not all of you were able to come to DAC Days. I highly encourage you to try to come next year. It's a great opportunity to network and meet other people and listen to great speakers. But even if you were able to come to DAC Days, I still highly encouraged people to get onto this webinar this evening because it can be a bit of a brain overload. There's so much to take in. There's so much new information, neat people to listen to, and so it can be a little overwhelming for anybody. So what I want to do today is go over the new products in detail and talk a little bit more about the selling features. We're actually going to start out with two of the products that we've actually updated. So the Bloom and the Breeders Excel are not new products. If you know the DAC products, you know that these are existing products, but we have actually made some updates to them. So I want to start there. I know that Bloom has been a product that a lot of people recommend. A lot of people like this product. I've seen recently a testimonial on our Facebook page of a person that won in a raffle a bucket of Bloom and for giggles decided they would try it on their horse. And it's amazing, the bloom, the shine in that horse's coat. Now, a lot of people were feeding the Bloom in the past as a protein supplement. I figured, well, I want a little extra muscling for my horse or a little better top line. I'm going to try feeding the Bloom. And while the Bloom had some protein in it, it really wasn't designed as a protein supplement. So what we've done as we go through looking at these slides is we've actually changed the source of the protein. We've really improved the quality of the protein. You'll notice another difference in this label, and you'll start to see this on all of the labels going forward. In the top right-hand corner, you see that gold starburst that says veterinarian recommended. And along with the NASC logo and the DAC logo and that template that's now on all of our labels, you will always see that veterinarian recommended logo. So that's another selling feature. We have veterinarians that have written testimonials for us on the product. So there's a little extra clout that goes behind those products. You know that they're scientifically designed by PhD nutritionists. All of the ingredients are sourced from manufacturers that have the quality seal of NASC, and now you've just got that one extra selling feature right there on the label. Now the feeding directions stayed the same, but if we look at the things that we've changed, we reconfigured it really to be more of a protein supplement. We slightly decreased the fat because we actually improved the quality of the protein. It's now got 100% chelated minerals, 100% chelated zinc, and that's really important because zinc plays a really important role in hair quality, and the Bloom is still also a product to improve the hair coat. So it's 100% chelated zinc. You'll notice on the label we've listed out all of these essential amino acids: lysine, methionine, phenylalanine, isoleucine, tryptophan, glycine, valine, leucine, and histidine are all listed on the tag. Now I want you to go back to this barrel diagram that I always use. Think about these wooden barrels, whiskey barrels, and each one of these slats represents a different amino acid. So we look here, this dark red one is lysine, the yellow one is methionine, leucine, isoleucine, valine, tryptophan, phenylalanine, and threonine. Now, you can see that that lysine slat has been cut lower down than all the rest. That is depicting how much lysine has been provided in this animal's diet. And you can see that it would be considered limiting because you can only fill that barrel up with water up to that lysine line. Anything above that, the water is just going to flow out. So visually, this is showing us that lysine is what we call the first limiting amino acid. It dictates the use of all other amino acids. So really, if you drew a line at the top of this lysine all the way around, let me see if I can draw here. If we take a pen and we draw it all the way around here, and we come around the other side, that is the amount of all of these other amino acids that we can actually use. You can't use anything above that lysine line. So then you can see if we add lysine, more lysine to the diet, we increase the amount of all these amino acids that we can now use. So it's really important when you're improving the quality of protein that you improve, first of all, the quality and amount of lysine. So if we look here, see if I can make my pen marks go away. We might be stuck with them. If we look here on the left-hand side of the screen, we have the guaranteed analysis. That was on the old label. We had 27% crude protein. We had about 35% crude fat. Fiber is minimal because it's a 2 to 4 ounce feeding rate. And down here you can see we only listed lysine and methionine. Ground extruded whole soybeans was the primary source of protein in this product. And now if we look on the right-hand side of the screen, this is the new formulation. The crude protein has been bumped up to 30%. The fat slightly lower down to 30%, 32%. But now you can also see that we are listing. We've bumped up the amount of lysine up to 2% from 1.45%. And if we go down, we've got methionine, threonine, phenylalanine, isoleucine, tryptophan, glycine, valine, leucine, and histidine, all listed on the tag. We've changed the protein source to whey protein concentrate and 100% this chelated zinc. So what are we going to use this DAC Bloom for? Still, we're going to use it for top line. We're going to use it for weight gain. Hair coat to get this beautiful glossy shine. The oil will make a horse shine, but if the horse has a damaged hair coat because it's unhealthy, the Bloom will help fix that damaged hair. If we look at also for sales prep, we have a lot of people that will feed the oil for some pure weight gain, but if they add the Bloom also, it helps with a little bit more of that quality protein. And it also helps with a little bit of that muscling, especially if you don't have the best quality hay. Adding Bloom now is going to give you some of that better quality protein. So I want to ask really quickly, do we have any questions on the Bloom before we move forward? I'll take a couple of questions now before we move forward. You can either type them or I'll unmute everybody. Okay, we don't seem to have any questions on the Bloom, so we're going to go ahead and move forward. I really apologize for that doodling on the screen there, but we have a late questions here. Any suggestions for palatability? Bloom is very palatable, and anytime you want to improve something's palatability, you can add a little banana flavored powdered pudding or some stevia, but we've never really had a problem with the horse not wanting to eat Bloom. Mix it in to the product with some oil or some water so that it doesn't sift out. Tryptophan is a amino acid that is added. It's got some minor calming effects. It does not test because it's an essential amino acid, and it's the amount that's in this product. It's not going to have any calming effect. But tryptophan is in our Calm B at a much higher rate for that. But it's an essential amino acid. It's part of the protein complex, and that's why it's listed here in this product. And no, it doesn't test. Yes, it's still safe for horses with HYPP, and absolutely safe for feeding with ryegrass hay. So we're going to go ahead and move forward now and look at the Breeders' Excel. So any of you that have been with DAC for a number of years now would know that we came out with the Breeders' Excel, and it was a small pelleted product, and you fed about 1 pound a day to breeding stallions. You had to feed it about 6 weeks prior to the breeding season so that it would have a full effect on the semen cycle. But we found that it was a large quantity and we wanted to improve the product. So I actually, a couple of years later, increased the quantity of the DHA. So we changed the formula so that it was just straight DHA, which is an omega-3 fatty acid. And the DHA is really what has the most potent benefits when it comes to semen quality and ovarian function. But what we found, because in human nutrition, a lot more human products are using DHA. You can buy milk that's DHA fortified. You can buy eggs that are DHA fortified. We're feeding a lot more fish in fish farms, and they're getting foods that are fortified with DHA. And so the DHA prices, because we buy human grade DHA, and the price really significantly increased, as some of you may have noticed. So we've actually reverted back to our previous formula because we also noticed a lot of palatability issues with the pure DHA, and we know that stallions can be a little bit more picky. So we've gone back to the pelleted formula. It's got some vitamin E in there. You can see that it's got a base of soybeans. It's got the dried algal fermentation product, which is the DHA. It's got a tiny bit of molasses in there, which is a natural flavoring to cover that DHA. So we've really gone back to that previous formulation. It's a lot more palatable. We do now have to go back to the higher feeding rate, the 1 pound a day versus the 4 to 6 ounces. There's a slight change in the concentration of DHA that you're getting out of this product now. So 15 grams in the newer formulation versus the 19.2 grams of DHA in the previous formulation. Now, if you look at all the research that's been done on DHA and semen quality, 15 grams is really the magic number in equine research. So I still feel we're getting ample amounts of DHA to really benefit semen quality. And it's got an additional amount of vitamin E, 1,000 IUs of natural vitamin E per pound. And vitamin E is really important for semen quality as well and overall reproductive health. So at that pound a day, this horse is getting 1,000 IUs. And it's a lot more cost effective and a lot more palatable. You can see the old label just listed DHA. And the new label, excuse me, it's still per ounce. And remember, before you were feeding 4 to 6 ounces, and now you're back to feeding 16 ounces. So don't be put off when you look at these numbers and think, oh, they're significantly less. Remember, you're timesing this by 6 now. So I get questions about DHA and how does it actually work. There we go. Sorry, I really had to get that drawing off the screen. And how does it work? So breeding stallions, 6 weeks prior to the breeding season, it's improving semen quality. And with mares, 60 days prior to the breeding season, it may improve oocyte quality and also decrease uterine inflammation, which will improve reproductive health. Now, this is some actual research done in horses. You know, I'm always a fan of research that's been done in horses. This graph is done in human men because I thought it really depicted it. But if you look at this paper here on the bottom, it shows the same thing in horses. And what this graph is showing you is when men were supplemented with a DHA supplement versus the blue being a placebo, total sperm count was much higher. Total sperm overall, sperm count was much higher per milliliter. The motility was much higher with the DHA supplemented subjects, as well as the morphology. And the morphology is the shape. So it doesn't matter if the little swimmer is alive, if his tail's broken or his head's smashed in. He can't swim straight. So we need the morphology to be correct. We need the tail to be motile, and we need a lot of them. So that's some actual research of what's showing how the DHA is actually affecting the semen quality, semen count. So quickly, any questions on Breeders Excel? I'll unmute everybody. If anybody would like to chime in with a verbal question, go right ahead. Otherwise, type away.
So how often should you give it to your mares?
For your mares, if you're going to feed it to your mares, you want to start 6 weeks prior to the date you want to breed her, or the roundabout time, and you need to do it every day. It's a daily supplement.
Once you stop after she conceives?
Once she conceives,
Okay.
absolutely you can stop.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, no more questions on the Breeders Excel. Of course, we can open it up at the end. What is a good time? What is a good time frame to start feeding a stallion prospect? 6 weeks prior to the breeding season is when you need to start feeding it. Okay, so let's move on to the brand new products. Now, these brand new products, each year, Dr. Duran and myself with Performance Horse Nutrition, we get together and we think about, different, and we talk with Randy Jacobs, the owner of the company, and we discuss a list of different potential supplements that we could possibly make. We talk with the sales reps. We talk about what they feel might be missing from the catalog of products. What are consumers and dealers asking for? And one of the things that we repeatedly got asked for was some more liquid supplements. The liquid supplements seem to be a little bit of a trend right now. It's not to say that they're any better or worse than other supplements, but there's a little bit of a trend for people liking the idea of a liquid supplement. So the first one we've come out with is actually a liquid joint supplement. So we still have the Optimum Flex Plus, which is slightly different. And this product is liquid hyaluronic acid. So the original High Victory, which was a powdered hyaluronic acid supplement, that will be discontinued in favor of this liquid product called LQHA Plus, which literally stands for liquid hyaluronic acid plus a little bit of other stuff. I'm very creative with my labeling, but I'm trying to get us to label these products so that the labels really describe what they are. Again, you'll see that veterinarian recommended. It's a liquid blend of quality ingredients that aid in the health of joints, cartilage, and connective tissue. You can see that there's a little bit of MSM, a new type of glucosamine, hyaluronic acid at 200 milligrams. Now, 150 milligrams is that gold standard that we must feed per day. So we've got a little bit more than that at 200 milligrams. And we've also got 250 IUs per ounce. Now, that's pretty concentrated vitamin E, and that's natural vitamin E as well. The feeding rate, now it comes in two sizes. It comes in a quart size and a gallon size. The quart size, both of them come with a pump. On the quart size, the pump is smaller to fit into the bottle, and 8 of those pumps is 1 ounce, and that's the feeding rate. On the gallon size, the pump is larger, just like on the oil, and 1 pump is 1 ounce. We've tried a new type of glucosamine. It's called glucosamine N-acetyl. It occurs naturally in the outer shell of some insects and shellfish. And it is a slightly different form of glucosamine, and it's much better in a liquid product. It disperses more evenly, and it doesn't settle to the bottom. So we're trying this new form of N-acetyl glucosamine. Increase in hyaluronic acid to 200 milligrams, like I said. Now, people often ask, well, what is the purpose of hyaluronic acid? Why is the focus there, and why is it so important? Well, let's go over to the right-hand side of the screen and actually look at the joint. Well, this is the bones coming in, and then on the ends here, this light blue tissue here, that is, can you see that? Maybe you can't. That light blue tissue on the end, that's cartilage. So we have this synovial membrane just inside the joint capsule. So the blue area on the outside of those bones, that is the joint capsule, and that's going to hold everything together. Just directly inside that, we have the synovial membrane, and then that dark green coloration, that's the synovial fluid or the joint fluid. Now, synovial fluid contains 3 to 4 milligrams per milliliter of hyaluronic acid. It's a naturally occurring ingredient in that joint fluid. It's what serves as that viscous lubrication. It allows that joint to move freely. And so we want to make sure that that is always adequately fueled. Inflammation in the joint can wear away at that viscosity and that synovial fluid. It can cause some permeability of that synovial membrane so that some of that fluid can leak out. What you will notice is there is actually no chondroitin sulfate in this product. That is because chondroitin cannot be fed to other livestock, and we wanted this product to be able to cross over into our livestock species as well. And as I mentioned, it has vitamin E at 250 IUs per ounce, which is a significant amount of vitamin E for such a small amount of product. And then a little bit of MSM, which is also a natural anti-inflammatory. So this is some research, some actual research that looked at synovial cells in horses, and this lipopolysaccharide challenge, when we want to challenge something, stress something, cause inflammation, that is what we use in research settings. We use that test. So we were trying to, I personally wasn't, but these researchers were trying to stress this joint and cause inflammation. And what they noticed was they fed one group the N-acetylglucosamine, and they measured those synovial cell cultures, and they found that the horses that were fed the N-acetylglucosamine, so this new type of glucosamine, they had significantly better survival in those synovial cell cultures. Those little cells that are creating the synovial fluid as well, and lower concentrations of those inflammatory markers. So it was actually able to decrease inflammation. In the past, I've always said that a joint supplement is not going to avoid or stop damage from occurring. You can't just feed these as a preventative. That's not the case with this product. These researchers found that when fed prior to the inflammatory event, both hyaluronic acid and the hyaluronic acid and acetylglucosamine combination had a protective effect on these cells. And the combination of hyaluronic acid and N-acetylglucosamine was better than just hyaluronic acid alone. So this is a step up from that High Victory, which was just hyaluronic acid in a powdered form. This is hyaluronic acid and the N-acetylglucosamine, which has been shown, documented, to be a preventative, to have really powerful anti-inflammatory benefits, and to really help the survival of that synovial tissue. So the question becomes, well, when do I feed this liquid hyaluronic acid versus Optimum Flex? Well, obviously, if you're feeding any livestock, you're going to go with this liquid hyaluronic acid. But let's just say we have a younger horse, and we're doing a little bit more work with him, and we want to make sure that we're maintaining those joints. And we worry that maybe we could be causing a little bit of inflammation. Maybe we're traveling a lot. We're doing some futurity shows, and we know futurities in any discipline are young horse classes. Then the liquid hyaluronic acid would be ideal. Where would we use the Optimum Flex? If we've got those older horses that we know have diagnosed joint disease, osteoarthritis, that's when we're going to go with the Optimum Flex, because it's a combination of hyaluronic acid, glucosamine, chondroitin, MSM in high doses, and so that combination all is going to act on different parts of the joint. So in these young horses, we're really more concerned about inflammation and that synovial fluid. In the older horse, we know we've had some cartilage breakdown, so that's when we need to draw in the benefits of chondroitin and glucosamine as well as the hyaluronic acid. So hopefully that explains that. Any other questions here on the liquid hyaluronic acid before we move further?
Hey, Tanya.
Yes,
How
ma'am.
detrimental is it to not have the chondroitin in there? Because it is also in the Optimum Flex. What are we missing by excluding it so other livestock can use it?
I'm going to mute everybody again. So the question was, if you couldn't quite hear, is are we missing anything in this product by not putting the chondroitin in there? Absolutely not, because chondroitin has no role in synovial fluid. And so for that younger horse, we're not concerned about cartilage damage. We're concerned about maintaining viscosity of that joint, maintaining ample joint fluid, and that's what this product is going to do. If we are concerned about cartilage damage, you're going to Optimum Flex. A question's been asked. I said we're using a small amount of MSM. Are we still having a significant amount to have any benefit? Yes, absolutely. It's not as significant as in the Optimum Flex, but in this product, the higher amounts of hyaluronic acid and this different type of glucosamine are really forming the basis of the anti-inflammatory properties. So that's the direction we've gone with this product. So we have two very good joint supplements, and you just have to ask yourself a few questions before deciding, so that you can decide which one is better. Would this be a standalone product to feed a client's horse who is 2 years old and has PSSM who plans on showing infuturities? Absolutely, this would be an ideal product because we know that that horse it's already got some muscle damage, muscle issues, having PSSM. So we want to keep inflammation down as much as we possibly can. We want to support those joints as best we possibly can. Oops, sorry, I muted you, Susie. Go ahead. Nope. Okay, we're going to keep moving ahead. So we will now move to the DAC-E Natural. Now, this is one of my favorite brand new products. It's a natural source of vitamin E. The name literally is exactly what it is. It is natural vitamin E. It is very, very concentrated. There's a tiny little scoop that comes with it. It comes in it's a 5-gram scoop. And in that 5 grams, you're going to get a hair over 2,000 IUs of natural vitamin E. If you look at the ingredients on the label. It says D-alpha tocopherol acetate. The amorphous silica is just a natural ingredient that helps it flow, but the D-alpha tocopherol, that dictates natural vitamin E. If you see on a product DL-alpha tocopherol, that is synthetic vitamin E. You can see also that veterinarian recommended stamp. Right now it comes in a 1-pound Ziploc sealed foil bag. We're working on getting it in a 5-pound bag also, but right now it just comes in a 1-pound bag. So in that 1-pound bag, it's very highly concentrated. As I said, one 5-gram scoop is going to give you a hair over 2,000 IUs. 2 of those 5-gram scoops is going to give you a little over 4,000 IUs. 3 of those 5-gram scoops, and we're looking at 6,000 IUs, and 4 of those 5-gram scoops, and we're looking at 8,100 IUs of natural vitamin E, which is very significant. It's 100% natural vitamin E. Now, this product does not have added selenium, and that gives us the flexibility to feed much higher concentrations of vitamin E. So who needs it? Well, I think the better question is, who doesn't need it? Stabled horses, horses that are at poor pasture, drought, exercising horses, muscle soreness, uneven gait, uneven muscle development, top line, thin horses, broodmare, stallions. It is important in so many different parts of the body. Now, if we look at the different products that will be competitive products, we're going to look at Nano E, which is a liquid form, Smart Pack E, Natural E, Elevate, and DAC E Natural. And what I've broken it down, price per 1,000 IUs, because everybody's got different feeding rates. So if we look at the price per 1,000 IUs, the Nano E is 70 cents, the Smart Pack product is 45 cents, Elevate 38 cents, and we come in at 32 cents, and that's retail price. So you can see we're significantly less expensive than those other products. And I can tell you that all of these powdered natural vitamin E sources are all coming from the same manufacturer. Now, if you think about, we talk about vitamin E being a powerful antioxidant. Think about oxidative stress, just like inflammation. And it is the root of all bad things. If you look at cancer in the body or disease or muscle soreness, inflammation or oxidative stress is the root of all damage that occurs in our body. Now, vitamin E is a powerful antioxidant, so its role is to go in and scavenge those free radicals that are causing that oxidative stress. So the vitamin E goes in and it sees that free radical that's angry and it's causing all that oxidative stress, and it gives a part of itself to that molecule to stabilize that molecule, to stop it causing all that damage, and it makes that more of a stable, happy molecule. And so vitamin E is really, really important for decreasing stress in the body. We know that it helps with the blood system. The muscular system is where it's really, really important. Oftentimes we seem to grasp towards a protein supplement when we're talking about top line. I mentioned top line in the first slide because we were talking about protein. A lot of horses get enough protein in their diet. What horses don't get enough in their diet is vitamin E. Horses grazing 17 hours out of the day, which is very uncommon, but that's what wild horses would do, would consume about 2,000 IUs of natural vitamin E per day. It is very rare for our horses to have that kind of access to pasture these days. They're either stabled, on dry lots, in small turnouts, all being fed stored forage or cut hay. That hay, within 2 weeks, it doesn't matter how brilliant your hay supply is pretty much depleted of vitamin E within about 2 weeks. So we have an epidemic of low vitamin E across the board in our horses. Maybe in Kentucky or some places here in Virginia where horses have ad lib access to grass, but the majority of horses are deficient in vitamin E. And some symptoms that you will notice in your horses: unexplained muscle soreness, uneven muscle wasting, uneven top line, or a top line that just will not develop. You feel like you're feeding him well, giving him good hay, doing the correct exercise, all the things that I say you have to do for a top line, but it's still not developing. In some cases, these horses will have muscle twitching, they'll have low head carriage, they'll drag a toe, so your farrier might say that they've worn a toe clip. The other classic symptom is they don't want to stand still. They're constantly shifting their weight. They're not doing this because they're excitable or nervous, but they're constantly shifting their weight and will not stand still. And these are all classic symptoms of vitamin E deficiency. So I want to be honest and tell you that we've had a little bit of a back order of the vitamin E. And that is because the facility that we source this product from, it's American manufactured in Illinois. The only other manufacturing facility is in China. The Illinois facility has been down. They've had some technical difficulties, and that is the problem with the vitamin E shortage at the moment. They are doing everything they possibly can to get it back on board, and as soon as they do, we will have shelves of vitamin E to be selling. But for now, it's educating consumers about understanding what cases might be vitamin E deficiency versus when we go with a protein supplement for top line. And be rest assured, it will be back on board soon, but just be patient. As I mentioned, it will be coming in a 5-pound bag. We have not narrowed down pricing yet because we are waiting for this plant to get back on board. So with that, any questions on the vitamin E? If a horse is on DAC Orange, will they receive enough E, or should they be on this as well? No, they won't be receiving enough vitamin E out of the DAC Orange at all to support a horse that is deficient. You would need to feed additional vitamin E. Any oral questions? Any questions people want to ask?
Hi, Tanya. This gets back to the liquid HA. When you have a client that has already done hock injections, and normally they purchase the Optimum Flex to get them between those every 3-month hock injections, would you now recommend the liquid HA? Will it be compatible?
Susie, it really depends on the diagnosis for the joint injections to start with. You know, usually the veterinarian will have diagnosed a reason for doing the joint injection. So again, if they suspect cartilage damage or any kind of damage, then go with the Optimum Flex. But if it's truly to just support synovial fluid, then go with the liquid product. So that's one that I would encourage to talk with the veterinarian. Is vitamin E good for horses with HYPP? It's good for all horses. It's not damaging for any horses, brood mares. So the treatment amounts, the feeding rates, if we go back to the first slide here, you can see the feeding amounts. At maintenance, I'm recommending 1 scoop. So that's 2,000 IUs per day. That's for an otherwise healthy horse that hasn't been diagnosed with any difficulties. If the horse is at poor pasture or is stabled, 1 to 2 scoops. So now we're looking at 2,000 to 4,000 IUs of that natural vitamin E per day. Exercise or any kind of deficiency or disease, equine metabolic syndrome, for example, then we're looking at 2 to 3 scoops. So now we're looking at that 4,000 to 6,000 IUs per day range. Now we want to do, if we're competing, then we're going to stay at that rate. But if we're trying to overcome a deficiency in a sick horse, we're going to do those high rates, that 6,000 for about a month, then perhaps back down to 4,000 for a month, and then on to 2,000 for a month and keep going there. Pregnancy and lactation, these horses should be getting 2 scoops, which is 4,000 IUs of natural vitamin E per day. Any other questions on the vitamin E before we move forward? Anyone? Anyone want to type in a question? Okie dokie, we will move forward. Okay, so the DAC Pasture Lick. It's a pasture lick tub. If any of you have been following the Facebook page, you've seen pictures of the tubs in the warehouse, a picture of a tub in a field with a couple of horses licking on it. It's a big red tub with this sticker on it, and it's got a red lid that sits right on top of it, and it gets mailed just like that. It's not going to get mailed in a box. It'll get mailed just in its plastic container. It's a vitamin and mineral supplement for mature horses. It's not really designed to meet the needs of a young horse that's growing. You can see that molasses products are the first ingredient. So it does have molasses, so that what holds it all together is molasses and oil. It is not suitable for horses that have sugar sensitivities. But I would discourage greatly anybody from feeding any kind of lick tub to a horse that has some kind of significant issue that we need to be really monitoring their nutritional intake. If your horse has sugar sensitivities, we need to be monitoring exactly what they're eating. So the DAC pasture lick, or any other lick tub for that matter, is not suitable for horses that have any kind of sickness or deficiency like that. So it's a 60-pound tub. It's quite sizable. It's designed for those horses that are not getting any supplement currently. They're out in a field, grazing. Maybe there's adequate forage. We don't see them every day. We're out in the back 40, and we don't see them or feed them every day. That is what this is designed for. If you have a feed tub in the horse's field and you feed them every day, even if it's just a handful of treats, they don't get the lick tub. You should be feeding them the DAC Orange or the Total Performance or the Direct Action. This is not for horses that are getting some kind of supplemental feeding every day. It does not replace Orange or Total Performance in exercising horses. It doesn't replace Breeder's Choice Plus or Orange in breeding stock. If you've got a field full of brood mares out the back and literally they're just eating grass or a round bale, and perhaps they don't come into getting supplemental feed until last trimester, then absolutely put some lick tubs out there. But if those mares are getting supplemental feeding in early pregnancy, don't put a lick tub out for them. It contains 100% chelated minerals. It's got biomass in it, yeast sac, and some digestive enzymes. Don't feed it to sheep because it has copper in it. We estimate, and it's an estimation, that the intake rate is between 1/2 pound and 3 pounds a day. That is why this is not a desirable product for a horse that has some kind of pre-existing condition, that we need to be much more on top of their nutritional intake. You can see for a horse that's doing no exercise, isn't pregnant, is an easy keeper, and has access to, hay, maybe a round bale, it will balance the diet for vitamins and minerals. This is synthetic vitamin E, so it looks like a lot's in there. But hopefully these horses are out at pasture, so it doesn't really matter that they're getting synthetic vitamin E. These are some comparable products. Crystalix, Equilix, Horselick. None of these contain 100% chelated minerals. None of these contain yeast as a probiotic or moss as a prebiotic. But it was pointed out to me this product here in the pink doesn't have molasses in it. I don't care whether that product doesn't have molasses in it. It is still not suitable for a horse that has sugar sensitivities. And I'll say it over and over again, a horse with sugar sensitivities, you need to be much more dialed in on what is going in that horse's mouth than putting a lick tub in the field. If you got a field that looks like this and you got a bunch of mares out there, they've got some grass coming in, or geldings or whatever horses, you got a round bale out there, great scenario for a lick tub. We've got people that live out in the back of Texas. We've got people in Montana. We've got people that literally have 100-acre fields where the horses are out there and they do not feed those horses every day. This is perfect for them. Put it near the water source because that is when the horses are going to consume that. These guys down the bottom here, though, if you're giving them supplemental feeding every day, they do not get a lick tub. Can I take any questions on the lick tub?
Would it affect an H horse badly?
So again, a question on would it affect an H horse? If this horse shows symptoms of issues with HYPP, then no, I wouldn't feed it to mine because again, it might eat 3 pounds a day or it might feed 1/2 pound a day. I wouldn't be feeding it. Is it safe for cows? Yes, it's safe for cows, but not sheep. As I mentioned, I would prefer that you were feeding Breeders' Choice Plus or DAC Orange daily to your broodmares, but we have a lot of clients that have large bands of broodmares that don't come in to get supplemental feeding until late in the second trimester or even into the third trimester. So this can be fed to those broodmares in that first and second trimester until they're coming in for supplemental feeding. If you have horses over the winter time that go out that you're not exercising, or over the summertime they're taking a break and they're not being fed every day, then this is ideal for them. If you do feed supplemental, I had a question this week about I'm feeding DAC Orange, can I still have the pasture lick in the field? No, that would be overkill and a complete waste, and you wouldn't want to do that. Question. Yes, I mean, people are using, we're selling a lot of the lick tubs. So yes, there is a market for the lick tub, but ideally, in a perfect world, I would hope that every horse was being fed every day, and it wouldn't need to get a lick tub. Any other questions? Okay. Okay, so we're at the end of the new products. And I want to just open it up. Do you have questions on anything? And we can ask questions. I'll end the recording, so thanks for any of you that are listening to this recorded.